Hey guys, welcome back. Some of the things I'm doing today, I figured I'd make a video. I am starting some infused cayenne pepper oil to make into a cayenne pepper salve, which is, a topical salve for pain, a lot of different things. So I'm going to go through my process of that. Everybody may do it a little bit different. You'll find your niche when you do these things. There's not, most things like this, there's not a, for sure solid recipe you have to follow. Certain herbs, yes. So this is just a jar. You can see how it's settled. So with this one, I took a half a cup of just my cheaper, robust, like Walmart brand olive oil. Now, you can do this with coconut oil, whichever one you choose. So I do a kickstart with this. So this is half a cup of oil, 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper powder. And again, when I do a topical one, I'm going to use my like cheaper store brand ones. I'm not going to use my organic stuff. I use that for internal. This is going to be just only topical. I put this in this little jar in a double boiler on myself just to get a little kickstart. And I get it to a good simmer. I let it sit in that simmering for 10 minutes or more. And you gotta be very careful. This is so concentrated. It's very, very hot in this process. And then when it sits, and then I let it set for at least a week. And hopefully you can see, you see how it's settling. Every day you want to give this a good shake. Just give it a good shake. And then after that, end of that week, you can take really fine cheesecloth or double layer it and strain off this. Will be your infused oil. And you can leave it like that if you want to use. And then after I strain this off, I put it, I put it back in a double boiler, and then I add my beeswax about, again with my measuring, right? I have done it where I've measured it so I can have a recipe. And I have a little digital kitchen scale, about 14 grams probably of the beeswax you can melt into this. And you're going to find your consistency of what works. Now, another way you can do it is if you use coconut oil instead of the olive oil, you can stick that in your fridge, or if you're in a cooler climate or cooler times of the year, it's gonna solidify. It's gonna hold it a little bit better. So either one, it's up to you, however you want to do it. But this is really good for topical. Now this is only for topical. Again, it is very hot, and the longer it sits like that, it's going to get hot. So wash your hands. You can use gloves, whatever it's like when I strain mine through cheesecloth and I squeeze that out, I do wear a glove because it's oil substance. You don't want that on your hands and get it in any mucous membranes you won't know about yourself. So, be careful, use common sense. And then, once you set it up, I've never had one go bad. Everything's supposed to, safety have an expiration. I've never had one go bad. But, you can use that thing, sore muscles, joints, arthritis, back pain, people who have shingles, anything like that. It's really good topical, just topical pain rub. It works really well. Now, there's, warnings like don't get it near mucous membranes. Don't, some people say don't get it in open wounds. Depends on what the open wound is, because there's certain things with cayenne pepper that are needed for open wounds, but it will burn. So use your best judgment on that. Washing your hands well after you apply it. You may, sometimes because of that oil substance, if you have in a certain area, you may want to use older clothes or something that you're not going to mind, because that oil can, can stain some clothes or, what have you. I would keep it out of reach of small children. If you're breastfeeding, I would not use that just because of safety risk of getting, that for a breastfeeding baby. And I never recommend ever putting a cayenne pepper salve, oil or salve, anywhere on your face. I don't, because it can be too much, but it's a good one to have and know. And again, you'll find your niche how you do these things. Anytime people will ask me, anytime I'm making an infused oil, it's just whether you're doing a spice, whether you're doing, herbs, whatever, it's just your oil of choice. I don't recommend using something like vegetable oil or canola oil or anything like that. There's different ones you can use, okay? It's really a preference thing. And then after a lot of time, like this one, I give a kickstart, some I don't. And if I don't give it a kickstart in the heat, I kind of, let it sit longer. I let it, infuse longer. So, they're kind of basic. You just, whatever your infused oil, you can take that infused oil and make a salve with that. That's just adding beeswax. So they're pretty simple, and you'll find out different measurements in the consistency of how you want it. But other things, talking about, especially this time of year when it starts getting cold, sometimes people have more pain this time of year with that cold or wet, So different things and I've talked about this in different videos. I will bring up and say, hey, this is really good for pain, and take little notes and, but things in place of, like if people ask me in place of, like say ibuprofen or something like that, CBD oil is really good for different pain. You do your judgment and where you live and everything else and your health. Again, always do things safely with any of this, even herbs. Some people, certain things you can't take. Ginger, another good one for pain. Turmeric, which is fantastic for chronic pain, is like my number one is like people have chronic pain or different things is, use turmeric. Arnica of Montana, I've talked about the safety of that. I've had a video of that, whether topically or the little no-sods internally. Again, be safe. Thyme, cinnamon, all those good for different natural pain things. If you just want to go natural, or you don't have access to something else. With arthritis, I get more and more, and here we are going into winter. A lot of people's arthritis will act up. That cayenne salve is really good for that. The turmeric is really good for that. The cinnamon, take an Epsom salt bath or an Epsom salt soak in whatever area may be affected. Another thing is really good for people with arthritis is dark cherries. Dark cherries are really, really good for arthritis, just eating dark cherries. And then your fish oils for your omega-3, that's really good. Different, painkillers. I've talked about earaches. I like the ear drops for an infection or inflammation in your ear. But garlic is really good. Do an infused garlic oil for earaches or anything like that. It's really good. Heartburn, I recommend apple cider vinegar with the mother. Absolutely has to be diluted. People are like, I just want to get it down. Well, that's not going to help your situation. Put it in water and do that. People think apple cider vinegar, it has an acidic thing to it, but it will balance. It will naturally balance your stomach's pH, which causes that. The truth, you get in this rebound cycle when you're taking antacids, you get all these other side effects because a lot of people have too low of stomach acid. They don't have the correct amount of stomach acid. They have imbalance of their pH in their stomach, which causes the refluxes, causes all those things. So you got to balance that. Gut bacteria, I talk about a lot of gut things I've talked about, so I won't go into it. Anything with sore muscles, the cayenne pepper, you can make an infused peppermint oils and everything, and you can either leave it as an oil or make it a salve. Really good for that type of stuff. Same thing with injuries, if you have that, muscle injuries, stuff like that, same ones. Of course, we know toothaches and stuff like that is cloves, using cloves for the pain and, the antibacterial properties. And, anything with sinuses, which is horseradish. I am getting ready to dig up my horseradish soon, and I will do a video on that. Because that's one of those you can keep on. It just keeps on going. It'll be humongous. So just things I want to share with you today, especially as we're coming in, this later fall, we're going to go into winter soon and the weather. So you'll have these type of things on hand. So I hope it helps. Everyone stay well. God bless. And I will see you next time.